Flow, right back at with another YouTube video for y'all, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are continuing with the consistency, with the momentum. We are hungry. We are determined. We gonna get things done, and that's what we do over here. You know what I'm saying? So look, bro. We are reacting to. We are reacting to. We are reacting to. YouTuber gets life in prison for hiring a hitman. Wait, hold on. Move and shut up, bro. Move and shut up. Like, you're doing too much, bro. Bro, what the fuck? Yeah, move and shut up, bro. Anyway, bro. We will be reacting to YouTuber gets life in prison for hiring a hitman, which is crazy. So we about to hop on to this video. It seems like it's going to be pretty interesting. Never heard about this story before. Before we get to the content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, man. We are on the road to 7K subscribers, and I can't hit 7K if you don't subscribe. Makes sense, right? Follow me on all my social medias, man. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, everything's in the description down below. Without further ado, man, let's hop on to the video. Lego.
This YouTuber made wearing Supreme in New York City a dangerous thing for years, terrorizing the streets, harassing strangers, and building a viral empire out of pure hatred for a clothing brand, only to end up serving 28 years to life in prison. And this is all because his reckless actions cost the life of an innocent family man. So it's safe to say, we have quite the tragic yet wild video today. And it's probably the most extreme case of fashion beef spiraling into real-world consequences that we've ever seen. Especially because this story actually starts back in 2016 to 2017 and only reached its conclusion now recently in 2025, almost a decade later.
That's
crazy. Meet Anthony Lopez, who became known online as YM Babe, a man whose obsession with fashion drama would destroy multiple lives,
and
including his own.
I never heard of this dude before. Like, let me know in the comments below if y'all heard of this man before. I never heard of this dude before, ever. You know what I'm saying? So this is pretty interesting. This is in New York, too. In 2016, I wasn't really I didn't really start getting really too tapped into the YouTube game for real, like watching YouTubers, like the viral ones. Like, I had the 2K, like, YouTubers and stuff like that, but not like the vlogs and shit until like DDG. So I was like I wasn't until like 2018, 2019 type shit for me, you know what I'm saying? So I wasn't really tapped into this, so I don't really know, but let me know if y'all know.
To understand how this whole disaster unfolded, we first need to know what these clothing brands meant to people around the world, especially in New York City during the late 2010s. Because let's go back to 2016, and Supreme had basically become the holy grail of streetwear culture, and people were literally sleeping on the sidewalks outside of Supreme stores just to buy their new box logo hoodies. Meanwhile, you have a bathing ape, mostly referred to as Babe. That was Supreme's flashy Japanese competitor.
I remember that era.
Things...
I'm not gonna lie, I definitely remember that. That was definitely like that 2016, 2017 era with the Babe hoodies. That was crazy. Niggas was fiending for one of those, bro. Like, crazy.
More minimalistic, at least, and grungy. Babe, they went full rainbow camouflage and cartoon apes. But both brands had die-hard followers who treated their choices kind of like a religion. Then obviously you had the casual streetwear people who maybe owned both or wanted to own both, but your average person did not own any of this, as we're talking about $500 plus hoodies back in 2016. Ironically, now both of these brands are cheaper because they're still, like, you could probably get a Supreme tee or Supreme hoodie for what, like $300 now, and the dollar is worth definitely way less than what it was back in 2016. That also has a lot to do with the hype on both of them pretty much dwindling.
Right.
Back then, Anthony Lopez decided that his preference was Babe, and that needed to become his purpose in life. So around 2016, Anthony, or YM Babe, started showing up to social media with one simple mission: convince the world that Supreme was garbage and anyone wearing it deserved to be publicly shamed. Now, Anthony wasn't some fashion insider or an industry expert. He was also just a regular dude from New York who happened to have an extremely strong opinion on what other people wore. And I guess what made him different was his willingness to take these opinions directly to the streets and all up in people's face. Because instead of just posting angry comments online like most haters, YM Babe, he grabbed his phone and started physically confronting strangers in Manhattan. He walked up to random people wearing Supreme gear and started shouting at them about their fashion choices.
You know, he's wild.
And according to interviews
What,
with
bro?
Wayne Bape actually started doing
Nah, he must have not did this. He must have just did this in the city. Cause if you go to any block in like the hood, I'm talking about Brooklyn, I'm talking about the Bronx, bro. You doing this, bro? You're getting jumped,
without
stabbed,
even
or
reporting
something.
it. He was just walking around Soho, genuinely harassing people.
See,
He felt
Soho.
like he was just very passionate that he hated Supreme and he wanted Babe to be the big thing. Eventually, his friends then convinced him to start filming these encounters, and that's where everything changed.
So you were just running up on people who were wearing Supreme and just flexing on them? Just why? Because you were in the mood? You just didn't with it?
Yeah, because I was so adjusted to Supreme.
Okay.
As these videos started going viral on Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages everywhere, and people couldn't figure out why he was doing this. There was a lot of speculation if these were just skits or if this guy's actually just lost his mind over some hoodies. And these weren't just verbal arguments either, because Wayne Bape, he would physically grab Supreme hats off of people's heads and just throw them on the ground. He'd push strangers, he'd trip them while they were walking, and then he would also do this whole like beating on his chest thing while shouting catchphrases.
Yo, oh yeah, I do remember seeing this video.
Playing that, they ain't playing with you. Needs to be a trick that you made. You know what I do best?
It was definitely extremely cringy to watch, but that cringiness is exactly what made the content go extremely viral, because especially back then, this behavior wasn't all over the place. Now it kind of is, but then it was somewhat unique, even though how tragic it is. Because within months, Wayne Bape transferred from some like random street harasser to a legitimate internet personality. He was getting thousands of followers who was genuinely entertained by the chaos or genuinely supported his anti-Supreme crusade. And this was also during a time where Supreme got so popular, but it was so expensive that a lot of people just started hating on it because, like the $1,200 hoodie with just Supreme on it did not make sense for most people. So a lot of people started clowning on the people who were actually buying that kind of stuff. But here's the thing, even if you knew who he was or followed his content, you still weren't safe from being pressed if you wore the wrong brand around him. Because this situation got so intense that people started genuinely avoiding certain neighborhoods in Manhattan if they were wearing Supreme. And Wayne Bape wasn't just targeting random pedestrians anymore. Because one of his most infamous moments was when he approached the actor Jonah Hill on the street, which led to this footage showing that Jonah was probably extremely confused and maybe slightly startled.
Got this big Supreme, you my man, I ain't gonna violate Supreme tape, y'all. You gonna hear about me soon? I'm violating on Supreme. I'm out here. Y'all here.
Social media back then was definitely very different because this was also during the time of boot gang. Yes, that's safe to say.
Oh yeah, boot gang, bro. That's another situation, but yeah, you could tell that you could tell he was uncomfortable, bro. Son had him in a full headlock. Hold on, let me go back. Had him in a full headlock, bro. Beat his chest, like, bro, what? This guy's out of control, gang. Wildin'.
Social media back then was definitely very different because this was also during the time of boot gang. Yes, that's safe to say. It was pretty cursed back then. But as internet fame grew, something unexpected happened. Major figures in hip-hop began acknowledging his existence. He was spotted hanging around rappers like Chief Keef, Playboi Carti, and even brought on stage during a Lil Uzi Vert concert. But the whole thing reached peak validation when XXXTentacion referenced him in a song, basically turning the YM chest-beating signature move into a mainstream hip-hop lyric. And this led him to being interviewed on No Jumper, where he got to explain his Supreme hatred for hundreds of thousands of viewers. And at this point, terrorizing people for their clothing choices literally became his career. And with internet fame came some money. And Wayne Bape
Terrorizing people for their fashion choices really came his career is insane, bro. That's what your purpose in life is. Insane.
really became his career. And with internet fame came some money. And Wayne Bape started investing into expensive jewelry and questionable street activity. And this is also around the time where he really starts leaning into his anti-Supreme brand. Because in 2018, he pulled off the stunt where he replaced actual Supreme advertisements around New York with posters of his own face.
I'm gonna tell you what's going on. Supreme, I'm a hate.
But he was definitely not finished with the street confrontations because they were getting more and more wild. He started storming into actual Supreme retail stores, throwing around the merchandise, and actually screaming at employees.
Yo, he's wildin'. Nah, there's no way he did that.
There were also videos of him getting into serious street fights over the brand. He was also arrested multiple times for these incidents, but every time he just kept on coming back. He just kept pushing things further and further, like literally beating someone up for wearing Supreme. And obviously, I can't show that full clip.
Yo.
But it was because of this behavior that he then later on claimed that someone put a bounty on him because of all the alleged harassment he's been doing. And eventually, that caught up with him. And he got jumped by a group of people who were apparently fed up with his antics. And obviously, I can't show that clip either. But in April of 2019, everything changed.
I knew it. I knew he was going to get jumped, bro. Like, because this, especially in New York, do you know what city you in, bro? Like, you can't just be coming up to random people in New York, of all places, talking shit to them about anything, bro. Like, it's crazy. You can't be doing that. People are fucking crazy out here. They want, like... So I knew that was coming, bro. You can't just, like, come on, bro.
Shot 3 times in the chest. And the shooting happened near...
What the hell? He got shot?
Wyatt Babe got shot 3 times in the chest. And the shooting happened near some housing projects on New York's Lower East Side, where Wyatt Babe and his crew were allegedly based. When photos of him in the hospital started circulating online, people had mixed reactions. Some felt bad for him, and many thought he'd finally pushed the wrong person too far. Wyatt Babe then posted some hospital photos with some dramatic captions and even filmed a music video from his hospital bed, basically turning his shooting into more content for his brand. But according to prosecutors, Wyatt Babe was convinced that someone from a rival neighborhood was responsible for shooting him. And that's where his story took a big turn from internet drama to an actual criminal conspiracy. So, from what I can tell, what happened next had nothing to do with Supreme or Babe or even internet fame. It was street-level retaliation that would end an innocent person's life. Because after getting out of the hospital, Anthony looked for someone to handle his revenge. In June of 2019, a young guy reached out to him through some text messages, offering to carry out a hit for a surprisingly small amount of money. Anthony then accepted this offer, and they started planning the attack. So on June 12, 2019, Wyatt Babe coordinated with several people to finalize their plan. He arranged transportation and logistics for what was supposed to be a targeted hit on whoever he thought was responsible for shooting him. So that night, the crew he hired took a taxi to the rival neighborhood. They were then looking for a specific person, but the way things ended was not how it was supposed to happen. So in the early morning hours of July 13th, they ended up near an apartment building where James Weeks was hanging out with his friends after a typical Friday night. James was a 35-year-old who had worked for Citibank and had absolutely nothing to do with any gang activity or street beef. At around 2:40 in the morning, as James was walking to his car, one of Wyatt Babe's hired shooters opened fire at him from about 150 feet away. James Weeks was hit in the face, and although he made it to the hospital, he never made it out of there.
Damn.
And meanwhile, the person Wyatt Babe...
That is crazy, bro. All because of freaking... It all stems from clothes. Bro, that shit is so dumb. It all stems from freaking clothes because you don't like Supreme. And you made this your career. Going up to people. Doing all types of foolishness. Pressing people about what they wearing. Just doing dumb stuff, bro. For content. And that's why I go back to saying, I am not gonna sell my soul or like do crazy shit to go up. I'm gonna go up because I'm being me. I'm not gonna be mad wild and just out of control because your reputation is all you got. I don't want to be known for something crazy like this. You know what I'm saying? Look where this could lead you. Getting shot and then you in jail now. You know what I mean? Prison for the rest of your life. You gotta be smart, yo. You gotta be smart, because this is insane, this story, bro. Like, word.
Actually, after was nowhere to be found. And what makes the situation...
And you got innocent people dying over your stupidness. Like, crazy.
Tragic is James Weeks left behind a wife and 4 children. According to his family, he had no connection to any gang activity at all. He was literally just visiting his friends on a Friday evening and nothing more. But later that day, Wyatt Babe was actually sent a screenshot of an Instagram post about the shooting that simply said, innocent bystander. And what makes things worse is he knew they targeted the wrong person, but he didn't seem to care. Because even after learning they ended an innocent father's life, Anthony didn't stop planning. The shooters got arrested within weeks, but while they sat in jail, he kept calling them and plotting to finish what they'd started. In one recorded jail call from January of 2020, Wyatt Babe told one of the arrested shooters that he had $4,000 ready for another hit. He he was offering to pay double what he originally paid the first time, even though an innocent man was already gone, because of his desire for revenge. And what's wild to me is he was doing this over jail calls, and for some reason this was going on for months. The guy was visiting and calling the people who ended James Wake's life, trying to get them to complete his original plan. But unfortunately for Bape or Anthony, he was arrested in December of 2021, more than 2 years after James lost his life. And the legal proceedings revealed the full scope on what had actually been happening. This wasn't just some internet personality who got carried away with content creation. His whole supreme-hating character and banging on the chest thing was apparently connected to gang affiliations that most of his internet followers probably had no idea about. And during the trial, prosecutors showed evidence that Bape felt zero remorse for what had happened. Even while locked up awaiting trial, the people managing his account were posting smiling photos of him in jail on social media. So in December of 2024, a jury found Bape guilty of murder in the first degree and conspiracy. And in March of 2025, he was sentenced to 28 years to life in prison. And the judge also noted that shortly after the killing, Bape and his friends were caught on video seemingly happy and celebrating, despite having just caused the end of someone's life. And all the other people involved got serious prison time as well. The actual shooter is looking at life in prison, and the other conspirators got decades behind bars. So while Bape built his entire following by turning fashion preferences into street harassment, underneath all that viral content was someone involved in some actual street activity that had real-world consequences. Because what already looked like some harmful fashion beef on social media was already masking some serious criminal activity, because while his online persona was really bad, apparently he was even worse behind the scenes. An innocent family man became collateral damage and a revenge plot that stemmed from Bape's shooting. And that's how internet fame, street politics, and fashion hatred combined created one of the most tragic outcomes we've covered here on this channel.
Crazy, man. Very crazy, man. But let me know what you guys think about that story. That story is insane, bro. I had no idea. You know what I'm saying? I saw some of his videos, but I had no idea about him getting arrested, shot, and all that. I had no idea about that, but that shit was crazy. Let me know what you guys think about the video. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate y'all for joining me. I appreciate everything I do. Appreciate all the love y'all give to the channel, give to the videos, and we just gonna keep going. Thank you for watching. More videos coming soon. I'll see you on the next video, man. Okay.